Everybody, Zerfelros here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today, we're going to go over the Johto Cup. Now, last week of the season, y'all, time to make that push. You can either make it in Johto Cup or you can make it in the 3 Open Leagues, Great League, Master League, or Ultra League. Whatever you're more comfortable with. Johto Cup is going to be kind of fun for a few days. Like most leagues are probably going to stagnate off after a few days. So I would make your push more in your comfortable setting rather than going straight to like a limited meta if you don't have to. But limited metas can also be fun, and in the first few days, if you can crack that meta, you can usually make some really good gains. And hopefully, this video will help you do that, because there are some interesting picks here for the Johto Cup. Quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. I couldn't do this without you guys. And if you would like to join our group, there is a link to the description in the description of the video where you can go ahead and sign up, join us, and get access to these meta guides, tips, tricks, everything that I have under the sun, and get ready for Season 12 after Season 11. Video coming soon for Season 11. I'm just waiting for some information from Niantic about the whole season rather than just about it. So, anyway, not too much more about that. Johto Cup coming in here on Monday at 1 p.m. PST. It's going to be Niantic time on Monday, basically, along with all 3 leagues. So, the meta trio sitting up on top there, Azu, Skarmory, and Umbreon, those are kind of like the big 3 that are just dominant generalists that can handle themselves not only in the Open Great League, but are also strong because they're all in this cup. So what you're going to look to do is you're going to look to try and beat these as well as the things that beat them, which is be kind of difficult because, as usual, we've seen when a meta comes through or something changes the meta, the entire thing shifts to countering whatever whatever counters the meta. So, Walrein comes in and everybody's countering Walrein without even running it first. So, I would almost expect the counters to the big 3 up there to come in right away. So, you can expect things like Lantern, Ariados, and Jumpluff to be popping in because they beat at least 2 of those. Now, Ampharos is interesting because it beats all 3, Peck and Focus Blast, to take out the Umbreon, but you probably won't see a whole ton of Great League Ampharos. They're pretty rare, but you might see them, so just be ready for them. But that's what those 4 on the bottom there are now. Just quickly running through these rankings, you got Raikou Shadow, which is really interesting, up at number 3 here, but that's because it's got literal double nukes with Volt Switch. So, I mean, if it gets those nukes off and gets down the shield in the 1 shield scenario, it can probably KO just about everything with that moveset. So, Azu comes in number 4. We got Meganium at number 5 as a Shadow, which came out recently. So if you've been able to snag one, it should be pretty interesting in this cup. Things to keep in mind, though, there's a lot of anti-grass in this cup, so you might not have a whole lot of luck with your Meganium if you have one. Following that, we've got Quillfish and Quagsire. There's a lot of water up here, so water is going to be a very strong type to either play as or play against in this cup. We've got Skarmory and Shadow. We've got the Meganium regular. We've got Steelix, Raikou regular. Shadow Granbull is going to be a very interesting pick in this meta. Blossom is interesting. Ariados is have we seen from Love Cup, very strong in metas that don't dominate it. Jumpluff comes in with its Shadow form, and then you've got things like, non-XL Azu. Umbreon, strangely, sitting down here at number 25, probably due to all of the bug and not all the fighting types, but bug, Azu being up there, lots of just things up here that can beat Umbreon. So Umbreon not necessarily as dominant, but still it's Umbreon. It's freaking good, and then you've got things that are starting to get slightly spicier down here, like Piloswine, Heracross. Noctowl is super. In the Remix Cup, I ran it. It was super good as a safe switch. Also can do a lot in any meta that it actually has play in. So look out for that. Magcargo comes back, previous dominator of the Love Cup, hardest answer to Skarmory that you can possibly think of, and also can handle just about everything that's not a direct hard counter like a water type. So going to be worth keeping an eye on there. Probably total all the way down to number 36. Doesn't really have as much play because of the nerf to Weather Ball a few seasons ago, but it is a Mud Boy. It still does well. It just doesn't have the ground typing to help it against those electric types like Lantern, so it's going to follow that short there, being weak to Lantern. And again, spicy stuff. Typhlosion pops in down here. You got Crobat. We've got the, stuff that you're never going to see the entire cup, except maybe that one whack trainer who has an Exila Corsola. Shadow Tyranitar is actually a pretty interesting core breaker to the Umbreon Skarmory lines, if there are any there. And then everything after here is just, you're probably not going to see it except for like once. So we're not worried too much about the stuff down here past like 40 or 50, right? So let's gonna hop into the some of the picks here. Now, I've started off here with the safe swappy sort of group here, and I wanted to highlight some of these here. So Quillfish is going to come in at number 6 on the meta here. Gets good wins over Jumpluff, Azu, Magcargo, Meganium, and he gets Hitmontop because it's a poison type. And Hitmontop could be okay in this meta, but because it's running double nukes, it's a little too frail to make those double nukes work. It barely gets to 2 moves, and then by then it's gone anyway. So if anybody decides to double shield, you probably can be a Hitmontop. Obviously, Quillfish being that poison type will lose to Skarmory. It'll lose to Lantern because Lantern's packing Spark and Thunderbolt in this meta. Umbreon's going to be able to just outbulk it. Steelix resisting the poison jabs or the poison stings like completely. It's poison ground, so it's like literally 1 damage per sting. And Ariados is going to be able to out damage it because, while Aqua Tail is a good move and you can get to that as faster than Ariados can get to its moves, it's a close matchup, but it's slightly dependent on energy. Like, you could very, very easily flip the scenario if you are running the Aqua Tail variant of Quillfish, and you get a slight head start on energy. So as a safe swap, like, it's got a lot of good matchups that you could probably flip because it's so spammy. And look at this. Like, this is only dependent on Ariados, walloping you with Mega Horn. You're probably gonna run Lunge on most Ariados. Maybe they'll run Mega Horn and Lunge if they're crazy. Poison damage is going to be pretty good against something like Azu, which is probably going to be all over the place because it's Azu. So, this is all assuming cross poisons and things like this. This is a very easily flippable matchup if you shield the Mega Horn, if there is one coming in. Like in this scenario, they're going to build up to Mega Horn, but most people probably aren't running it. But if it's straight Lunge, though, let's say the opponent's wild and they go straight Lunge, you win that matchup in the 1 shield. So that, Ariados, not necessarily a good counter swap, so even though it's listed as a loss, it still could be a win. Quillfish, just again, it's super, super strong. I'm not supposed to be in that tab yet. Dang it, Zara. We're not there yet. All right. So Granbull, Shadow Granbull. Let's talk about Shadow Granbull for just a minute. Let's let's go hop over to the team builder right quick, and let's take a look at good old Shadow Granbull. And we're gonna do it. The reason why I want to pull up Shadow Granbull in the 2 shields is because I don't think there's anything in this meta that Shadow Granbull just can't straight rip apart with Charm. That's not like a poison type. I think that's like a super spammy poison type of Ariados and Quillfish. I think those may very well be the only things that you can't rip apart with a Shadow Granbull. So let's take a quick look at Shadow Granbull in the 1 shield. Look at, there's literally 3 things. And I was looking at Skarmory earlier, and that's a pretty close one, I think. Yeah, they actually tie. It's a literal tie, and that's assuming that that they get the crunch. You get a crunch debuff. So if you don't get a crunch debuff, then they have a little bit of HP. But like, they get so low to the point where anything can come in and just farm Skarmory down. Like, Shadow Granbull is to be feared if you double shield the Granbull. Almost everything that's not Ariados or Skarmory or Forretress is the only other one here that's listed as lost. Look at this. Quillfish. All right, fine. Ariados. Where's Ariados? All right, we'll go down here. All right, here's the losses, right? So you got Skarmory, lost. Quillfish, Ariados, Magcargo. Like, the hard Charm answers are the only ones that are going to be able to survive the onslaught of a Shadow Granbull. You could play Galarian Slowking in this meta too. It's interesting. But that's it. If it's not a direct hard answer to Charm, Granbull is going to plow right through it with 2 shields. Quagsire is interesting because of its moveset now. I'm bringing up Quagsire specifically because of Lantern and Skarmory and all of these other things that kind of core break. Quagsire is a common core breaker to the core breaker teams. So, having Stone Edge and I think it's Earthquake, it's going to be able to actually kind of wallop a lot of things. Look at this. Most of the losses here are to grass types and to Heracross for some reason. Probably because it resists both Earthquake and Stone Edge. That makes sense. But like that's it. But like you beat all the waters. You beat Magcargo goes down in a cinch because it's water. Water. It's rock fire. There's a lot of things that Quagsire can, like, every time I build a team, like, Quagsire is probably one of the core breakers of the meta. So Politoed, in a similar vein, has the ability to be very spammy as a save switch, and it's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on your opponent as the water ball, or the water balls. The weather balls come out so quickly that not only would you be able to potentially flip switch with those and baiting, earthquakes and things, but you would also be able to put immense shield pressure. Look at the losses on these. The 400 rating means these are all extremely close losses. So Politoed is going to be able to be an excellent save switch, possibly make a great dent in the secondary matchup should you use it. And the only things that you need to really watch out for here are obviously the grass types. But even grass types have to fear Blizzard just in case you're running it. They don't know you're running Earthquake, and they don't know if you're running Blizzard, so it's a guessing game. So if you build up to the Blizzard, even if your opponent swaps in Meganium, you could possibly bait the Blizzard and still get shields out of it, even if you're running Earthquake. Noctowl, like I mentioned earlier, is interesting because Noctowl is a flying normal type. There's not any really ghost damage, so that's why it's not so great, but it's a solid answer to the grass types, and it can handle the poison types, and it can beat Azu in certain situations. Now, obviously, Lantern, Skarmory, Quagsire, Steelix, being the steel types, those things kind of wall Noctowl. Now, Noctowl does have access to Shadow Ball, so it is able to at least put some pressure and dent those things. But there are just some things that Noctowl can't quite pony up against. So it's a good safe swap if you're looking to bring out those things so that something else on the team can handle it, because it does definitely have some matchups where it will get dominated by a bit. So it's probably better to use it as a safe switch, in my opinion. That's why it's on this group, so that you can kind of bait those things out and get rid of them for something else to sweep later. And the last safe swap I want to hit up on here is Mantine, which could technically be, it could also be a lead because it has Bubble Beam. But if you run it with Wing Attack, you're fine. You can run it with Bubble if you want to. But with all the waters, Wing Attack is probably good because that also gives it play against the grasses. You see that it absolutely wallops Jumpluff and Meganium because of the fact that it's got Wing Attack. Hitmontop is up here. We're not going to see Hitmontop. Don't worry about Hitmontop. Noctowl can't quite keep up with it. The Bubble Beam is very, very annoying. And that's why I feel like it could be a good safe switch, because the Bubble Beam debuff, if you debuff so many times to the point where your opponent can't do anything, that you might force them to swap out and give up switch advantage without getting taken out, or you might be able to flip the matchup in such a way that the opponent has no choice but to sit there and do 1 damage with their fast moves. So fun stuff. Just some stuff I wanted to highlight on the safe switch here. So let's talk about this next slide. Now this is kind of like some slightly spicier stuff, but not so it's anti-meta basically. Crobat, you're going to be able to deal with grass types like Crobat, Scizor, and Ariados are like 3 of the most heavily anti-grass. So if you see a lot of Jumpluff, you see a lot of Meganium, these might be some picks for you. Octillery got the Octazooka, or not, it got the lock-on buff with the season, so that's not a horrible pick. Octazooka being able to get that 50% sharp decrease to the attack, and Gunk Shot just a nuke to things like Azu and Shadow Gramble if you even get there. That thing will just rip you apart if it shields anyway. But those are just some interesting things to look out for here. Jumpluff and you know, the bottom here is kind of like some good closers with shields, right? So Jumpluff getting acrobatics and energy ball, it's kind of got an almost double nuke moveset, and it charges very quickly. So if you give it a shield, there's not a whole lot of things that Jumpluff is gonna, you know, wince at. You know, some of the obvious things like Magcargo, Skarmory, you know, some things that it resists quite well, or that resist it quite well. Obviously, those are going to be things like if you're using this as a closer, try and build a team around taking out the Skarmory or the Magcargo. So maybe what you use is a Skarmory, or you use the aforementioned Noctowl to bring those things out. Then you can use, you know, for maybe your Lantern, for example, could come in, farm down the Skarmory or Magcargo, and then Jumpluff comes in and cleans up the entire rest of the team. Heracross is interesting because it has a very good moveset. Rock Blast and Close Combat is like perfect coverage in any meta, and it has counter. So if you have one, it might be worth using. It's actually not horrible, but just keep in mind in Great League it's kind of squishy, and against things like Skarmory and anything that has a flying type move, it's really just... So you want to make sure that you're able to take out the flying type attacker. Hello, camera. Take out the flying type attacker before you let the Heracross come in, or use it as a thing to bait out the flying type attacker, because it does have Rock Blast, which is going to hit that rock or hit that flyer for some damage. Piloswine, I ran it in the Great League Remix Cup. No, it was a Holiday Cup. It was a Holiday Cup, and it was a lot of fun as a closer. If it has Stone Edge, nobody sees it coming. And Stone Edge, if you've seen, there's a lot of flyers. There's quite a few bugs. There's a bunch of stuff that you could definitely clap with a Stone Edge. So that's interesting too, if you have one for Great League. And then Raikou is, or Raikou, however the hell you want to say it. Again, like we saw earlier, especially the Shadow version, it's got Volt Switch, excellent fast move. It's got Shadow Ball and Wild Charge, two excellent charge moves that can just blow a whole, you know, team out of the water if this thing has shields. And there's only a few normal types in the meta, so Shadow Ball is going to go largely unresisted if it's not against an Umbreon or another Dark type or a normal type, and you're going to be able to probably hit anything that resists Shadow Ball with a Volt or a Wild Charge, and you just one-shot everything. If you have one, I wish I had one, I really do. If you had one, it would be an interesting closer because you could just annihilate a whole team with it. Coming up next, I've got the counter users on top. Beware, Donphan and Wobbuffet also can use Charm. So you might see some wacky double Charm teams with Granbull and Wobbuffet or Donphan. Just keep it in mind. Hitmontop has that moveset of Close Combat and Stone Edge, so it's an excellent nuker, but again, kind of frail, needs shields, things of the sort. Sudowoodo is another one that's very interesting. Has Rock Slide and Earthquake, so it's got the same moveset as G-Fist, but it's got counter instead of Mud Shot. So, excellent anti-flyer because of the rock typing. Can even deal with Lantern if it lands the Earthquake. Your losses are going to end up being the water types that resist fighting moves, such as Quillfish and Azu, and then a grass type is going to be able to make very short work of a Sudowoodo because Rock Slide just does not match up to things like Frenzy Plant or Energy Ball. So, just, you know, Sudowoodo is very interesting, so keep it in mind. I've got some little niche kind of interesting picks on the bottom there. Tyranitar absolutely destroys Umbreon. It's funny to watch, and you can also wall up a Skarmory too, especially with the Shadow Tyranitar. Thing could absolutely just annihilate those two. So it's very interesting if you've got one. It'll be funny if you can lock it in against the Skarmory. It's listed in the one shield as a close win, but let's be honest. You're going to win the matchup. It's just, you're going to win the matchup. Now, you do have to be careful, though, because a Sky Attack will do, like, a third of the Tyranitar's health if it's a Shadow. So, you have to play it smartly, but it is funny to get them in that corner. Just smack it down. And then we've got Fortress being really only weak to the fire types in this meta, and there's only really two that you're worried about. There's going to be it kind of has to deal with Skarmory too, so my bad. All right, it's got a couple of flyers. It doesn't like flyers either. But like it can handle all these water types because it's got Earthquake, and Mirror Shot helps it deal with some things in bait territory if they don't want to take the Earthquake. Bug Bite is okay as a fast move. It's just kind of meh, but it does what it needs to do, I suppose. But you can run a bunch of different moves on Fortress, which keeps your opponent guessing, and it's a good in general kind of bulky thing that can whip out mirror shots pretty quick. You just have to be careful of some of the things that can pretty much just deal with it. Steelix is another steel type, a good anti-flyer, not as well to deal with the Incinerate fire users like Magcargo and Typhlosion. And then I got Celebi down there. After Johto Tour, you're going to have one with Magical Leaf, which makes it basically almost Air Slash clone, but better. Celebi, still not super great, but it's a sort of spicier pick that has an interesting move set if you want to run it. Not crazy good, but still interesting. Now, this last page is just some wacky shit. So wacky spice, right? So Blissey, if you're that person, go. Blossom is interesting because it has Bullet Seed and Leaf Blade, so it's very spammy. And Blossom is going to be able to get either return if you have a purified one, or you could even run it with Leaf Storm, or no, not Leaf Storm, Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam Blossom is going to be able to whoop the rear end of a dark type, and also if you have any fighting type, like the one, like Hitmontop, I think it's like the one. And then Leaf Blade as grass damage is really good, and it's as spammy as could be. Obviously, you're going to get pretty walled by Skarmory. Magcargo also resists the Dazzling Gleam, so Leaf Blades, while they do neutral damage and you get them out quickly, the Incinerate damage is going to add up too quickly. And then Quillfish is, again, completely walling the moveset, so probably not going to be doing too much against that. But as you can see, the water types, the electric Ampharos, and then you can even deal with Meganium because you resist all its moves. I've seen Blossom in action before. It's not bad. It's actually interesting. Gligar, Ledian, I'm not going to spend way too much time on these. I just think that some of these are interesting. Ledian is extremely bulky as an XL. Gligar, real quick here, has a very interesting typing in that it's ground and flying, and it has mostly the same moves as Gliscor. It has Aerial Ace and, if you want to run Dig, I guess. It doesn't have Earthquake like Gliscor, but it's interesting, and it's interesting. That's all I can say is it's interesting. It gets very interesting wins. It does what a flyer needs to do, and it can also deal with any... if you want to, you counter Celebi with it, I guess, right? Ursaring has a good move set. It's just very, very squishy. So I wanted to just real quickly highlight Ursaring, as it has Counter and Shadow Claw. Two of the best fast moves in Pokemon Go. And its moveset is kind of a triple nuke moveset, and it's got Close Combat, Hyper Beam, and Play Rough. So you can use it as a wild card, if you will, but it's not going to do you a whole lot. It's ranked number 95 for a reason. I did want to throw in here Sunflora and Bayleaf. Bayleaf is a Razor Leafer, so if you're feeling some kind of way and you really don't like people, you can run a Razor Leafer. Bayleaf does need to be XL to be a Razor Leafer, and it can be a Shadow now, so whoopee freaking funny do. Sunflora, Bullet Seed user, so that's a good fast move. It has Sludge Bomb and it has Leaf Storm. You can run Petal Blizzard and Solar Beam if you want, but Sludge Bomb and Leaf Storm is probably the preferred moveset in this scenario. Slowking, we've seen plenty of Slowking in the Love Cup. Slowking has Shadow Ball, has Confusion, has Sludge Wave. If it's the Galarian version, keep in mind, but we're talking about this one. Now, Slowking having Psychic and Blizzard. Blizzard can nuke so many things in this meta, it's crazy. And because it's got Confusion and it's got Psychic, it can handily deal with the poison types. So, Ariados is only listed here because of those Mega Horn lunge damage very, very quick. But if it's not a direct hard counter, I guess Lantern gets the Thunderbolts off too quickly. It's not greatly ranked, but you could certainly take advantage of a poison heavy meta with it if you wanted to. Porygon 2 is the bulkiest of the Porygons. It's got Lock On, it's got Tri Attack, and it's got Zap Cannon, and none of those are Community Day moves because it's not Porygon Z. So you could run this thing with the ability to debuff and you've got the Zippy Zap Cannon to just nuke stuff with. So very interesting, very interesting, very interesting. And then Corsola, we've seen it in Love Cup. It's a rock water type that has the ability to use Bubble Beam and Rock Blast. Not going to go too into that, but it's there. It's XL. You're probably not going to use it. So some cores and teams, right? So Skarmory and the Mudboy combo. Extremely potent in Great League, and it's still potent here. You've got the Azu could be the safe switch. You could make a Quillfish. You could make it anything that's going to bait out a grass type that's going to let Quagsire do his job. And really the only things that are going to core break that, really, I mean, there's not a whole lot. Like, if you go with this specific team, there's actually nothing listed in PvPoke that beats the entire team at all. So it's a very, very strong line. Some things can core break it, like a Skarmory Shadow, I guess, is listed as a core breaker because it beats the other two, but it matches evenly with Skarmory. So very strong, very meta team there. Going to be able to take advantage day one of using Quagsire on somebody's Lantern, because you know it's going to be everywhere, because they're trying to beat that meta of the Skarmory Azu tree, or core there. You're going to get the people running the Dark Poison cores, Umbreon, Tyranitar, Quillfish, Ariados. They're all very strong cores. The core by itself listed here with Umbreon and Quillfish, the only thing that really beats it, Quagsire and Steelix. And then you've also got Ampharos and Fortress. There are some things obviously you're not going to see as much of, but Quagsire comes up again as a core breaker just because it has such a nukey moveset and resists or takes regular damage from just about everything in there. The Sudowoodo Ariados core. I was trying so hard to just find a third core to put in this video, and this one actually came up. If you're running Ariados with the Mega Horn, your Quagsire is listed as the only thing you're gonna see in the meta that is core breaker to this team. That's it. So if you wanted something spicy and you don't see a lot of Quagsire, play the Sudowoodo Ariados core. It's going to be fun. You've got a lot of dynamic move sets on that team that you can definitely take advantage of your opponent not having Quagsire. And if they do, try and find something to bait out the Quagsire. Maybe Ariados, takes the lead, or either one of these could honestly bring out a Quagsire, because Quagsire can beat them both. And then have something else in the in your team that can beat a Quagsire potentially. This isn't a team. It's kind of like two cores in one here. So Jumpluff cores very well with Magcargo and Lantern. So if you want to build a team around either of those two pairs, very not a bad idea to do so. The main, Quillfish comes in as a core breaker to the Jumpluff Magcargo core, whereas you've got Kingdra. There's not a whole lot else. Like Quillfish kind of wallops that core, and then you've got play against most other stuff. Like Jumpluff with the Community Day move of Acrobatics has been very good in just in general play, so you can make a lot happen with it. And that's really going to be it for the Johto Cup. It's only a week long. Don't put too much into it. This is a 25-minute, it's almost a 30-minute video because I enjoy these things. But I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys stuck with me this long. Hopefully this video is going to help you navigate the Johto Cup. I wish you the best of luck in your battles this week, and don't forget that Niantic has increased the amount of daily sets from 5 to 20 from the 26th of February all the way through March 1st. So use that to make your push before we have an unrated Season 11. Now, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you sitting through this with me, and I hope it helps again. I will catch you all in the next video. Bye!